Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solo. You are not, and feels like it's been a while since we've done this, because it has. In fact, it's been since I think the beginning of October since we've had a talk to the beard. Since then, I have well, I talked to you a little bit about it on the Ramblin' Grambling show last week, but we went on a big long Jeep adventure vacation thing, me and Jody, and we had a good old time. And then we came back for a few days and worked. We finished up a Lita Blake project. My good friend from Germany, Anna, came in and hung with us for the better part of a week. Then we all went to GRL and had a grand old time. Came back, spent a few more days at the house. Anna flew out. And then me and my wife both got desperately sick. I mean sick. Ill, sick, nasty. Con crud, I guess is what they call that. I think most other people had it too, which was just lovely. And at this point, we are over it. And Jody still kind of got a little bit. I think she's on. I was actually back to working out today and back to working in the studio. And I got to tell you, it's been long enough working in the studio that I almost forget how to do it. You ever been away from yourself for that long that you forget how to do your own job? Anyways, that's where we're at. I see Jen Gibson in the crowd there. So fuck you, Jen Gibson. Hi, how are you? And I'm going to bring on my guest. This is going to be a fun time today for a number of reasons. I'm going to bring on my guest, and then I'll tell you why here. Hello, Sammy Cee. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling restless, jumpy, all those things. How about you? You feeling all relaxed and normal right now?
I am. I
Yeah.
spent the day cleaning my house just to get like a chill.
I'm about to clean my control room right now. I noticed my friend that was in visiting us, Anna. She has a aversion to spiders. Not that I don't know many people who love spiders, but she's frightened of spiders, and I don't like spiders myself. But I noticed we did a lot of cleaning before. We had a house guest that was in with us for the better
Right.
part of a few weeks, and we did a lot of cleaning prior to this. We were like, I mean, Jody especially. I didn't do much. Jody was like they're vacuuming every day and shit, and still seen through the eyes of a person just coming into our house. It's an old house. It's like 120-year-old house. Seeing somebody like you could see, they were like, "Oh my God, there's a spider." And I saw it through her eyes. It was so yeah. I'm about to. I'm spending a lot more time in the control room right now, and I'm about to spend some time sweeping that tonight. Because I went up there and looked around, and I
hmm
was like, "Holy fuck, there's a bunch of spiders up here." So, uh, are you your cleaning fashion? Are you like it has to be desperately clean, like the chick from Friends, or are you it's lived in, or are you fuck it, I don't care?
I'm somewhere between this is it, this is our life lived in, and I have a deadline. Fuck it, I don't care.
I get it entirely. How many people live in your household there?
Three teenagers
Oh shit.
with me.
My God, how do you
Mm-hmm.
you still got hair? That's impressive. That's a good deal.
They're good kids. They're good
Yeah.
kids.
What do you mind me asking, like the age range of teenagers is like 12, 13, 14, or do you have like an 18-year-old in there? What's happening?
I've got two 18 and one 17.
Wow.
So I have a senior and I have two just starting um, like vocational schools.
Okay. That's a good deal.
hmm
I wish I had went to a vocational school. I would have gained a useful skill. I did not. I didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
Um, what's is it boy, girl, boy, all girls, all boys? What do you
So
got?
I've got my daughter and her boyfriend, and then I have my youngest daughter. She's a senior.
Okay. Are girls like boy? Like I knew everything when I was 8. You couldn't tell me a single. Are they like that, or are they more reasonable?
My 17-year-old, we are going through the I know everything, mom.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, I'm pretty stupid right now.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
she's a good girl, but she's talking about the future, where she wants to go to school, does a lot of social media stuff, and so, if I suggest anything, she's like, "Mom, you're a little old to understand what's going on."
Well, for me, and I have a 26-year-old son. I think he's 26, 25 or 26, somewhere in there. And when I observed him as well, here's what I ran into. It was ideals versus reality. And it's hard to, I didn't want to squash his ideals. They were very beautiful.
Right.
But
Yeah.
just sometimes in reality, that ideal does not really work, son. You got to
Yeah.
understand life is not black and white. Uh,
This time last year, my 17-year-old was telling me she wasn't going to college and she was starting her own makeup line.
okay.
And then she told me it was about $12,000 a little color. And I was looking at her like, "Okay, and how are you doing that exactly?" So at least now she knows, I think I have to get some education first, maybe make some money. I'm like, "Yeah, there we go."
Yeah, well, she's starting to come back down to reality. Look at that. Yeah. What were you like when you were like 18? I mean, did you have the high ideals? What did you want to be? What did you want to do?
When I was 18, I went to college. I changed my major 5 times
Eh,
by the time I got an associate's degree. I had discovered that I was a little band girl by the time I got that associate's degree. So then there was 5 years of "Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do this, kid." So, yeah, I had a really good time,
uh-huh.
not, until I was about 25.
Where did you go to college at?
I started at Tulsa University in Oklahoma,
Mhm.
and then I ended up, because I discovered I was a little roll girl, at the junior college.
Well, I got to say, in appreciation of what you attempted to do, me and mine, we all loved girls like you. I was the rock star at that age, and I was actually pretty close to a rock star. I was on stages with lots of people, and I did that for a lot of years of my life. Um, and y'all were a lot of fun. You made the rock and world go round. There is no doubt. And the whole
Yeah.
drug thing too. That's a whole other. So what majors did you? What did you go in? What did you try? Because college is for experimentation. Tell me all about it.
I started with psychology, um, realized pretty quickly that the whole reason I was going for psychology was because I was having, you have all those issues, and it was a lot of years ago, right? Things were different then. So, being biracial in Oklahoma in the early 90s, deal. Um, so, my head was kind of messed up.
Mhm.
And then from there, I just kind of skipped around. I wanted to do philosophy. Then I was like, oh, I should do sociology. And you're not even going to believe where I ended up.
You got to tell me.
Accounting. Accounting.
Well,
I
that's
ended up with an
practical.
accounting. Yeah. Very practical, because I was
Yeah.
just like, you have to fund that lifestyle somehow.
I wish we would have had a groupie accountant. That would have made a big difference. Um, ours could do hair and shit. That was cool at the time. That's awesome. So did you know from that age that you were going to be a writer? Was that always in the back of your head, like something you wanted to try, or did that kind of spread later?
So when I was little, I wanted to be a writer. I stayed with my grandmother a lot. They had their room for me. I was the first grandchild, so I was very, very spoiled by her. And she was an English teacher. So she used to talk about it all the time, because she taught me to read really young. And so it was always, when you grow up and blah, blah, blah. And I loved to write. And then, you know, probably around 15 or 16, a friend of mine kicked my butt in an essay thing. Like, I knew I had it in the bag. She kicked my butt, and then it was one of those things where it was like, "Yeah, I'm not good enough at this," and I walked away for years and years.
Mhm. We had that. I was in a class. God, it was sixth, seventh, eighth grade, somewhere in that range. By the way, Meredith Davidson King just said, "Math. How are we friends?" Which is hilarious to me. Um, but we had this. It was an English class, and I entered this writing contest and I won in our school. I won. There was like three of us, and we were selected to then go on to some sort of writing contest where they get kids from other schools, and you all go in. They set you down in rooms, like 30 of you in a room, and there's like three or four of those rooms, all from different districts around the state. And they say, "Here's your topic. Write a page essay on it." And my slant on writing was always, I can think of the unique angle. I wasn't a very good writer, but I could
Right.
always think of my unique angle that nobody else is going to think of. So I did that, and I fucking won. Like number one.
That's
I was,
awesome.
yeah. So we went on to like the larger competition, and the second one in, My English teacher was very proud and everything else. And we were sitting down in this essay competition, and I remember they set us down, they gave us a topic, and I could not think of an angle. I could not think of a unique, like, this is just, everybody's going to see these obvious points. Everybody's going to fucking write it. So we had, like, at, let's say, 45 minutes. I wrote mine in the last 5 because I was thinking the entire time of
Yeah,
an angle and I couldn't figure it out. And I blundered miserably. Never became a writer after that. It kind of sounds like we had a similar thing, though. So you got your ass kicked, and basically you lost your confidence, you lost your mojo, and
I
then it was
did.
done.
I did.
When did it
Mhm.
come back? What happened?
Um, I was reading a lot, as, a lot of us do, and, social media, you can reach out to your favorite authors. Did you know? So I did. I started reaching out to some of my favorite authors, and we would talk, plot points and what we really liked, and, blah, blah, blah. And Stella Starling said to me, you should write a book, because I had this whole story idea all outlined, and I was talking to her about it. She said, you should write it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then Michelle Natero said to me, we were having a talk, and it was time for Nano. It was this time of year. And she said, there's a group of us doing Nano. You should you should do it with us. You should do it. And I was like, at the time my kids were middle school, going through a lot. I was that parent that people told all the things to, so I knew all the things, and basically avoided other adults because I know all the things about your kids. And so I wrote my first YA book then.
Was it love at first sight at that point? Then did you realize immediately, oh my God, this is what I've wanted to do my entire life?
I finished a book, right? Like, it was like
Yeah,
I finished a book. And then I did another one. By then I was doing a lot of editing for authors. I don't know if you know this, breaking into a YA is not the easiest thing.
I've heard.
Um, yeah, I was helping a lot of people with, storylines and all different things. And a few of them said, why aren't you just writing? Why, like, just write this, like, write this for right now. Later, if you want to go back and do YA, go back later. But right now, just do this. This is your whole life is about this. And so I did.
Nice. And it was just go on from there kind of thing. Now,
hmm
have you put aside another career to do this? Are you still working? Or are you just doing this? How are you handling it?
I'm just doing this. I have a goal at a certain point to get my life coach license
Hmm.
and do that as well. But before this, I was an organizational manager in a huge company, and I worked my butt off, and it was a lot. And I was more than happy to.
By the tone of your voice, I got the impression that you did not like working for a huge company very much.
I didn't. Yeah, no, I didn't. I actually really enjoyed my job. I'm a spreadsheet girl. I
Hmm.
like spreadsheets, and I like to see everything tick, 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 tick into its spot where it belongs. Sorry, Meredith. Um, but it's just the size of the company, so many dynamics. Like, I'm really good, like, one-on-one and really small groups.
Hmm.
And I'm one of those people who will sit and have a heart to heart with you every time. I don't do small talk really well. Like, I'm more a heart to heart person. So having that many people who were reporting to me all the time, it was way high energy for me.
Hmm. There's
Yeah.
I never did work for a large corporation. My wife did. Well, she worked for a company that had a couple few hundred people in it. In my mind, that's a large corporation. I always worked for companies that had 30, 40, 50 people. I could typically go knock on the owner's door kind of thing. As
Yeah.
soon as they got
Yeah.
larger than that, I found that there were politics involved, and I had to not be myself. So I
Yeah.
couldn't relax around the office. That's really what killed me. I just couldn't be myself. I had to pretend to be somebody else
Yeah.
on a daily basis, and that was horrid. Um, with your success you found in the romance community, do you think it's specifically because you are in a, let's say, easier to access community, or is this the love of your life? Is this what you always wanted to write?
I think there's a few things. I think it is such a tight knit community. Um, you find your people. And that matters, especially when you work from home. It matters to find your people.
Mm,
And the other thing, one of the reasons I really love writing MM, and my mom and I had taught, she had asked me that question, and I said, it's important, you know, the way things are changing, people's perceptions of things, they're all important. And, I mentioned before the biracial, that's something that's followed me all my life.
mm.
I didn't have a choice. I wear it. You know, and so to be a part of a community that's helping people see things a different way, let people love who they love, show that people are people, like all of that really matters to me. And so, yeah, it's a good way for me to have an outlet for that.
It's funny how you say the chip on the shoulder. Well, you didn't say those words, but I took it to mean that. Um, I've gone through this a lot in my life myself, and I'm constantly going through an evolution of trying to relearn myself, trying to better know my weaknesses and my strengths, and how to better utilize those to help other people around me and to
Yes.
forward my own goals. That's kind of what we do. Um, I'm going to give you a brief example of something I had dealt with. I have a 10th grade education. I left school early in the 10th grade. I'm not stupid by any stretch. I'm certainly not a stupid man, but I found that the educational system was this. I thought it was stupid. It made no sense. They try and fit a square peg into a round
Yes.
hole, and it's just not for
Right.
me. I've continued on with self education, and to my credit, I've had a few different careers, and I'm successful. So go me. But carried a chip on my shoulder because members of my some of my other family are very educated, master's degrees, PhDs, all this fun shit.
Yeah.
It's very intimidating in a lot of ways, and I've I got to the point where I almost resented that in other people because I did not have it myself because I felt inferior. No matter what accomplishments I have, I don't have that piece of paper. Therefore, I felt inferior because of it. It was a chip I carried. I've gotten past that with a lot of help from my friends and everybody else, but that was a chip that I carried.
Yeah.
You've mentioned biracial a couple of times, which, by the way, I don't mean to be cheesy or stupid or rude, but you're gorgeous. You're a very pretty, attractive
Thank you.
woman. I don't think that biracial or not has anything to fucking do with it. You're just, you're very pretty. How did that affect you early on in life? Was it cultural, where you were raised, and how have you dealt with it, and how do you think about it now?
So I was raised, my parents split up. It's one of those stories, right? Like it was 1974. So my mom did something that, who does that, right? Like she was from a nicely well off white family. So, I think that was a little bit of rebellion her way. She was very smart, played basketball, she did her thing. Um, but my father ended up having an addiction. And
Hmm.
so they did split up, and she had two little girls. So we moved to Oklahoma. I think she wanted to show she could do it on her own and that she didn't need the I told you so's and the looks and anything else. So I was raised, so in the school, I was in a huge school system when we first moved there. Um, there was one Jewish girl. I was the only person. There was no black girls, no black boy, just me. And then there was one girl from India. And that was it in this huge school. And it started, um, my younger sister, 7 years younger, same area, right? So she grew up really resenting having any white in her. She just wanted to be just a black girl and not deal with it from that perspective. I just wanted to be the smart girl.
Hmm.
That's all I wanted, I had a huge afro. My poor mother, God bless her, she had no idea what to do with it, so, like, I was 18 before I figured it out all on my own, and so it followed a lot of things, and I think I reached a point, um, after I got off drugs, my drug issue had masked the fact that my Crohn's had inflamed to the fact that I was almost dead.
Mhm.
um, and didn't know until, after I was clean and they're having to cut stuff out of me because my organs were all messed up. And, um, you let a lot of that stuff, like, you're grown up now. I don't care. You have a problem. I don't care. You move past it.
Mhm.
And then in eighth grade, my oldest daughter looks almost exactly like me. My youngest daughter, she is so pale, blue-eyed, blonde hair. Like, she is just, I mean, she's gorgeous. She does look like me, but if you can only see color, you don't see it, right?
Mhm.
Um, but the oldest one was in eighth grade, and she started having all of the same problems that I had in eighth grade 30 years before. And that put me into social awareness mode big
Mhm.
time. And um, that same year, one of her best friends, Mama Steph, I need to tell somebody.
Mhm.
And he came out to me. And I really started to look at the world and how much it's changed and how many people my age and older, they didn't get it. And they weren't giving these kids what they need. And so what used to be this thing that I was almost ashamed of, didn't know where to fit in, didn't know how to fit in, kind of hid. That's part of my story. I'm a biracial woman and I'm proud of it.
Mhm.
Period. So I changed a lot because of what I saw with those kids, and it helped me evolve to a better place.
The evolution of it is really what's the amazing thing. I went through the evolution with the. I realized that everybody deals with life with the cards that they've been given and makes the best decisions they can, typically in any given situation. So my best decision at the time in 10th grade was to drop out, whereas somebody else's best decision was to move on and get a master's degree. Both of us tried to deal with life, and now we have these tools available to us. Um, it's an amazing deal, but it takes perspective to see that. You got to live on that with that. That's 18, 19, 20, 22, 25. That chip, you can almost see it on almost every person that age's shoulder.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
what's yours? We all had one. What's yours? You'd mentioned I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict. I got 6 years sober. It took me about 12 years to get that. I admire anybody that's done the same thing, although I always say it's like, well, I'm doing what everybody else did already. I just finally figured it out myself.
Right.
If you don't mind me asking, what was your drug of choice? What do you like?
Crank.
Is that crack and something else, or is that just crack?
It's it's meth in crack form, I guess,
Excellent.
basically.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
smoke meth. I accidentally did meth once, but I never actually became a meth head. I got offered crack a lot, but I never did that. I loved fucking coke. Loved it. God, you give me all the cocaine stand. It seemed like it went up too quickly when you freebased it. So I wanted to make it last a little longer. That was all. But really, for me, that was just a means to be able to drink more. I enjoyed it, but it was just now I can drink for 36 hours instead of passing out after 24. This is great.
Right.
This is
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's an amazing deal. Have you ever? Here's a personal question for you. Have you ever? Are you able to drink, to smoke, anything like that? Still, are you able to use those, or are you just teetotaler?
So I can drink. I have no issue with drinking. Obviously, I stay far away from drugs. I can. So this is how bad the health was, right? I can walk into a pool supply or
Mm-hmm.
a painting section of a Walmart now without feeling like I want to throw up, or go
Oh.
looking for the nearest dealer. Um, but I picked smoking back up when I got divorced, and man, I
Yep.
regret it because
Yep.
it doesn't matter how many times I get, like, almost to the place where, like, I'm good. It
Mm.
doesn't take much in life to send me spiraling, and it's like I don't, like, you know,
One of
I'm
my
working on it.
one of my really good friends. I recently picked up smoking again myself, which is horrible. And actually, I've had a hell of a time kicking it this time around too. I've gone, I guess, when did Anna leave? A week ago, 10 days ago, something like that. I've gone now 3 times for 36 hours, somewhere in there. Then something will happen if I
Yeah.
can pick it back up again. But one of my good friends in 12 step rooms, told me that smoking cigarettes was like a release valve for him. And I'm talking about cigarettes, I'm not talking about marijuana. I personally can't
Right.
smoke marijuana anymore. It triggers me. I can't do it. Wish I could because it was fucking amazing. But with cigarettes, he said it was like a release valve. He said, there's a lot worse things than I could be doing than smoking cigarettes, and I don't want to smoke cigarettes, so I'll go for years at a time. But if I get to that point where I'm on the edge and I'm not getting the relief that I need, and the program is still not quite cutting it. He said, I'd much rather pick up a pack of smokes and go drink a half gallon of vodka. And he's fucking right. But
Yeah.
now to the crowd, this is language that some people can understand and some people can't. Okay, I
Yeah.
actually, Sammy, I feel very comfortable talking to you about it because just when you were starting to talk about walking into a pain store, I started giggling because you're talking my language.
Yeah.
I get it. But some people might not get it, but trust me, me and Sammy do. So, and if you do,
Yeah.
God bless you. If you want to reach out, do. But yeah, it's sobriety is also one of those kind of chips that I carried on my shoulder for a while. I was the sobriety evangelist for about the first year, where I was going to save everybody because it was such a beautiful thing. I was
Mhm.
just like, oh my God, I got my entire life back. Luckily, I did not
Right.
have anything like Crohn's or something like that happen to me, which that had to be another rough experience by far. Are you better there now? Are you feeling okay physically otherwise?
Yeah, I have to my stress, eat, a couple years ago, I had a nice full year cycle, which is probably the worst one I've ever had, but, since I was young. But the stress, I just wasn't watching my stress, I was watching the girls, I was editing, I was writing, like, I was trying to spin all these plates and it didn't work so well. So, but now, yeah, I'm really solid right now.
Are you able to still? Is writing still the source of relaxation, or are you at a point now where you're trying to find other creative outlets that you can go to because writing has become your work?
So, right now, I'm really in a place of, um, training my brain that writing is my job because I have a chosen daughter who's got kids and I watch the kids a few days a week. I have my own children who I am very fortunate. I raised my kids with the truth. Um, I took another detour along the way after the drugs. I married a minister. So, yeah. Yeah. So there's some stuff in my house that has to be, dealt with. So, I spend a lot of time with my kids. I'm so fortunate that they want to talk to me about everything. There are times that I'm like, "Oh my god, please go away." But
Mhm,
I know, so many people they have so many friends who went away to college because they could not wait to get out of their parents' house.
mhm,
And my kids love to tell me things and tell me stories and ask my opinion. So, I know I'm fortunate. Um, but because of that, I've had to really say, "This is my job." And
mhm,
it's not so much them because they respect me when I say, "I need you to give me some time." It's me because when they say, "I need you," my automatic reaction is, "I can do this later. What do you need?"
mhm.
But because I'm trying to be more careful with my health, I'm not staying up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning anymore writing. I am going to bed at a fairly decent time. So I am trying to be much more like, this is your job. So I've started going to yoga. I My aunt gave me a calligraphy set.
Mhm.
I wanna learn calligraphy. I'm trying to find other things that are like, this is for relaxation, and then I might be passionate about my books, but they're still my job.
That's awesome. I'm finding for myself that I have to have other interests above and I love recording. I love acting. I love the entire process. But if I don't stretch out into not only other creative endeavors, but things that I'm not very good at that I have to be challenged with to try and be good at. Um, and I can cite examples, but the crowd knows kind of what I do and what I get into. But yoga's a great one. I get into yoga. I've recently, in the last 6 months, started to lift weights, which I'm horrible at. I'm a little skinny dude that I'm not good at it, and it hurts. It's physically painful.
Right. Right.
But it's a challenge that I'm not inherently just naturally inclined to do. So that's a good thing for me to attempt to try. I'd be horrible at calligraphy too. Maybe I should try that. But those things fuel my creative endeavors. Otherwise, If all I'm thinking about is recording, if all I'm thinking about is the next character, I get so burnt out. And I've experienced that a lot, just burnt. Because I can work for 18 hours a day. I can between recording and
Right.
research, and I just can't do that. You have to be a well-rounded person. I'm happy that you're trying that. How long have you been doing the yoga?
So I've tried off and on a few times, but now I'm like, this time I paid. I paid for the month of November. We're doing like
Hmm.
this gratefulness thing, and then I've picked up a session for this Friday. And the facilitator, she's got a lot going on that I'm really into.
Hmm.
A lot of mindfulness talk, and she's got some sprays, which a spray helped me quit smoking the last time. So I ordered one of those from her to, try that. And um, yeah, she's got a lot of different classes and stuff, and I'm buying what she's selling. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna be spending some time, I think, trying more of the things that she's offering.
Sammy, I'm really enjoying you. You are beautifully flawed. I like that. I like that, Nagao. You and me are going to get along just fine. The mindfulness thing, I've been using this app from a guy named Sam Harris for a while. And not that I'm the stellar example of I got my shit together, because I ain't, but his app is incredible because I'm a preacher's kid. Didn't marry a preacher, but I'm a preacher's kid. And I come from that background.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, so I typically, if the word God is involved, I'm going to go the other direction. That's just to each their own. I can respect that. I've
Right.
managed that chip at this point. I know what it is, but I go the other direction. Sam Harris teaches mindfulness from damn near an atheist point of view. It's there's no like if you get into Buddhism and a couple of the others, there's some kind of religious kooky shit going on in there that I can just never jive with. I just can't
Right.
go that direction. His app is I would highly recommend it. It's called Waking Up, and it's so good. And it's
Waking up?
yep, the Waking Up app, and it's really cool. He lets
Okay.
you try it free for like 30 days. Then what he wants is $100 a year for it, but he plainly states that if you can't afford $100 a year, just email him and tell him, and he'll give it to you. It's really cool. I actually did that the first year I used it. I've been using it for 4 years now, and I did it because a nephew of mine sent it to me, and I was like, "Well, this is really cool. Oh, I'm up with my 30 days. What am I gonna do?" And he said, "Just email him." I did. It was perfect. And now I can afford to pay, so I pay. It's way cool though. He not only breaks down a lot of the how do you say it, the theory behind what he's teaching, but then he also gives practice as well. There's daily meditations
Okay.
you can join in on and that sort of deal. I like it a lot. Um, but what have you got going on currently? What are you writing?
Right now, I'm writing the fourth book in my Love on Tap Fragile Heart series. Imagine this, they're about beautifully boys. That's what the series is about. Um, but in these, I really like the idea of these daddies who show them that they're already kicking butt all on their own
Mhm.
and help them see how much strength they really do have because they're still doing the do. And so that's kind of been the whole scope of the series.
Excellent. And you said this is book five. I'm sorry, I missed that in the
This
beginning.
is
Was it
book 4.
book four? Excellent. And
Mhm.
how long do you anticipate this one going on? 5, 6 books?
Right now, this will be 5 books.
Mhm.
And then it'll stay in the bar but change a little bit. They work out of a tavern, and so they'll
Okay.
stay there, but it'll change just a little. Yeah.
Meredith said, "Did you say kicking butthole?" And to that I answer, "Yes, she did, Meredith. Yes, she did. She said kicking butthole. That was. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to all involved. In fact, um, that. Yeah. I thank you for coming on. We're kind of wrapping up here, but there's a couple things that I need to do. First off, I forgot to ask you when we were off the air. Is it okay that I put this up on YouTube? Is that permissible to you?
Yes, that's fine.
Excellent.
Uh-huh.
And secondly, I missed some comments along the way here because I'm kind of paying attention to my screen and not looking at the comments. So I don't know. Are you in the Brigadiers group? Are you able to see this?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Then, if you could go through and address any ones that I missed, that would be greatly appreciated. Do you have anything else to say to the crowd before we're done?
No, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it. It
You're
really
wonderful.
is just like sitting around having coffee with a friend.
That's what I
Yeah.
keep on every single new guest, especially people that I don't know already. Me and you do not know each
Mhm.
other. But every time
Right.
I say it's just like just sitting down and having a cup of coffee with 250 people watching. That's what it is. and
It
it,
is.
yeah, it's I try and explain, but the best one that I get is now what questions is he going to ask? What are you going to talk about? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I don't. Do you plan your coffee talks in advance? I don't fucking know.
Mm.
But anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate it. The easy part here is all you got to do is wave at the camera and say goodbye.
Bye.